Have you ever felt overwhelmed by life's challenges as if everything is outside of your control? What if I told you that the key to inner peace and strength lies not in changing the world, but in changing your mindset? I remember a time when everything felt like it was falling apart. Stress at work, personal struggles, and that never-ending feeling of anxiety. I kept searching for answers, something to give me clarity. That's when I stumbled upon Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And suddenly, everything shifted. His words were like a beacon of light, guiding me through the storm. The wisdom of a Roman emperor from nearly 2,000 years ago spoke to me in a way no modern self-help book ever had. If you've ever wanted a philosophy that doesn't just sound good but actually changes the way you live, stay with me till the end. Because today, we're diving deep into the life-changing quotes of Marcus Aurelius, words that have the power to transform your mindset, help you find strength in adversity, and ultimately, lead a life of wisdom and purpose. Let's begin. Who was Marcus Aurelius? Before we dive into the wisdom itself, let's take a moment to understand the man behind these words. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher, he was the most powerful man in the world at his time. As the emperor of Rome from 161 to 180 AD, he ruled during one of the most challenging periods in Roman history. Plagues, wars, betrayals. He faced it all. And yet, instead of becoming cynical or bitter, he turned to Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us how to remain calm and rational in the face of adversity. His book Meditations wasn't meant for publication. It was his personal journal, a collection of reflections meant to keep himself disciplined and focused. And yet, these private thoughts have become one of the greatest guides to resilience and wisdom ever written. Now let's get into the life-changing quotes themselves, starting with one of his most famous teachings. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This single quote carries the essence of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that most of our suffering comes not from external circumstances, but from our own perception of those circumstances. Think about it. Two people can go through the same event, let's say losing a job. One person sees it as a complete disaster, spiraling into self-doubt and frustration. The other sees it as an opportunity for growth, a chance to explore new paths. The event is the same, but the reaction is different. And that reaction? It comes from within. This idea is deeply relevant today. We live in an age of constant news cycles, social media outrage, and external pressures. If we let outside events dictate our emotions, we'll always be at their mercy. But if we take control of our own thoughts, if we recognize that our response is our choice, we become unshakable. So how can you apply this? The next time something frustrates you, pause. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. If it is, take action. Either way, don't let your mind be a slave to circumstances. That's where real strength lies. And now let's move to the next powerful lesson. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. How often do we get caught up in debates about morality, ethics, or the right way to live? We watch endless discussions, scroll through social media arguments, and analyze what others are doing. Yet, in the end, do we actually act? Marcus Aurelius is telling us to stop talking and start being. Stop debating what a good person is. Just be one. Think about it. If someone spends all their time arguing about the best way to work out but never actually goes to the gym, will they ever get stronger? The same applies to character. Reading about virtues, discussing ethics, or admiring those who embody goodness means nothing unless we apply those lessons ourselves. This lesson is especially powerful in today's world. It's easy to call out others for their flaws, judge from a distance, and criticize. But what if, instead, we focused on improving ourselves? Imagine if, instead of debating kindness, we simply practiced it. Instead of criticizing dishonesty, we committed to truth in our own lives. So how do we apply this? Start today. Be the person you admire. Live with integrity, act with kindness, and embody wisdom. Not because someone told you to, but because it's the right thing to do. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Let's get real. How often do we let our thoughts control our emotions? How many times have you woken up in a bad mood simply because you thought something negative the night before? Marcus Aurelius understood something profound. Our thoughts shape our reality. If your mind is filled with fear, resentment, and doubt, your life will reflect that negativity. But if you train yourself to focus on gratitude, wisdom, and purpose, your life will transform. A real-world example? Take two people who experience the exact same day. Maybe both are stuck in traffic. One person gets angry, honks at others, and spends the rest of the day frustrated. The other uses the time to listen to an audiobook, reflect on their goals, or simply accept the moment. The event is the same, but the experience is completely different. Why? Because of their thoughts. This doesn't mean ignoring reality. If something bad happens, acknowledge it. But instead of dwelling on the negative, reframe it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or, how can I grow? The quality of your thoughts will determine the quality of your life. Try this. The next time you catch yourself in a negative spiral, pause. Replace that thought with something constructive. Over time, this practice will reshape your entire mindset. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. How often do we rush through life without stopping to appreciate it? We get caught up in stress, responsibilities, and endless to-do lists, forgetting the simple beauty that surrounds us. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, look up, take a breath. The universe is vast, and you are a part of it. You are alive in this very moment. There's something powerful about stepping back and seeing the bigger picture. When you feel overwhelmed, go outside and watch the sky. Look at the trees. Listen to the sounds around you. Feel the wind on your skin. Remind yourself that life itself is a gift. This practice is more than just poetic, it's a form of mindfulness. Studies show that people who practice gratitude and awareness are happier, more resilient, and less stressed. So the next time you're frustrated or lost in thought, take a moment to pause. Dwell on the beauty of life. Because in the end, the only thing you truly own is the present moment. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. In a world full of half-truths, gossip, and moral shortcuts, this quote is a guiding principle. Marcus Aurelius is giving us a simple rule. If something isn't right, don't do it. If something isn't true, don't say it. Sounds easy, right? But how often do we compromise on these principles? Maybe it's telling a small lie to avoid conflict. Maybe it's taking an easy route instead of the right one. Maybe it's going along with something we know is wrong just to fit in. But here's the thing. Our actions define us. Every choice we make builds our character. When you consistently choose truth and righteousness, you strengthen your integrity. And when you don't, you weaken it. One way to apply this lesson is to use a simple mental filter. Before you act or speak, ask yourself, is this right and is this true? Would I be proud of this decision if it were made public? If the answer to any of these is no, don't do it. Because in the end, your reputation, your self-respect, and your inner peace are built on the choices you make every single day. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. This is one of the most powerful Stoic lessons on resilience. Think about the last time someone insulted you or treated you unfairly. Did their words actually harm you? Or was it your reaction that caused the pain? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, we are not hurt by events themselves, but by our interpretation of them. If you refuse to see yourself as a victim, no one can truly harm you. Take the example of someone cutting you off in traffic. You can get angry, let it ruin your mood, and carry that frustration with you all day. Or you can shrug it off, realizing it's just a minor event that doesn't deserve your energy. This applies to bigger situations too. If someone betrays you, you can choose to dwell on the pain, or you can accept it, learn from it, and move forward. The event doesn't change, but your response does. And that response determines your happiness. So next time you feel wronged, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If not, let it go. Because true strength comes from mastering your own mind. Death smiles at us all, but all a man can do is smile back. Death is inevitable, but instead of fearing it, Marcus Aurelius urges us to embrace it. Why? Because once we accept that life is short, we start living fully. This philosophy, known as memento mori, Latin for remember that you will die, isn't about being morbid. It's about urgency. It's about using the awareness of mortality to fuel our actions. Ask yourself, if you knew you had 1 year left to live, how would you act? Would you waste time on meaningless distractions? Would you hold on to grudges? Or would you live with purpose, love deeply, and make every moment count? The truth is, we all have limited time. And the sooner we acknowledge that, the sooner we stop procrastinating on the things that truly matter. So today, take action. Say what needs to be said. Do what you've been putting off. Appreciate the people around you, because in the end, the only regret is not living while you had the chance. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. What do you truly want in life? Not what society expects of you, not what others have told you to pursue, but what you genuinely desire. Marcus Aurelius understood that a person's value is reflected in their goals, dreams, and the effort they put into achieving them. If your ambitions are small, your impact will be small. But if you set high standards for yourself, if you aim for greatness, then your life will naturally rise to that level. Think of history's greatest figures, Da Vinci, Einstein, or even Marcus Aurelius himself. They weren't just gifted, they aimed high. They pursued mastery, knowledge, and purpose with relentless focus. And that's what separated them from the average person. So ask yourself, are your ambitions worthy of the person you want to become? If you settle for mediocrity, you'll live a mediocre life. But if you challenge yourself, push beyond your comfort zone, and strive for something meaningful, your life will expand in ways you never imagined. This isn't about chasing material success, it's about setting a purpose that gives your life meaning. Define your ambitions, align them with your values, and pursue them with everything you have. Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. Imagine for a moment that today is your last day on Earth. How would you act? Would you waste time on trivial arguments? Would you scroll endlessly through distractions? Or would you live with purpose, treating every moment as precious? Marcus Aurelius urges us to approach every action, no matter how small, with full presence and intention. Whether it's a conversation, a task, or a decision, give it your best, because you never know if it's your last. This mindset isn't about fear, it's about urgency. It's about eliminating procrastination, avoiding regret, and making sure that whatever you do it well. Take a simple example, a mundane job. Many people perform their work with resentment, rushing through the day without thought. But what if instead they treated each task as if it mattered? What if they brought excellence to everything they touched? Over time, that approach transforms careers, builds reputations, and leads to success. So today, as you move through life, ask yourself, if this were my last action, would I be proud of it? If not, change the way you do it. Because true mastery isn't found in occasional big moments, it's built in the small everyday ones. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. When someone wrongs you, what's your first instinct? Most people seek revenge, retaliation, or at least some way to prove they were right. But Marcus Aurelius tells us something different. The best revenge isn't fighting back, it's rising above. Think about it. If you lower yourself to the level of those who hurt you, have you really won? Or have you become just like them? True strength lies not in reacting, but in maintaining your integrity. One of the best examples of this is Nelson Mandela. After spending 27 years in prison, he had every reason to seek revenge. But instead of bitterness, he chose forgiveness. He understood that holding on to anger would only poison his life, not his enemies. And in doing so, he became a global symbol of wisdom and peace. So the next time someone tries to bring you down, don't waste your energy fighting back. Instead, focus on becoming better. Keep your principles. Stay in control of your emotions, because nothing is more powerful than remaining untouchable by negativity. Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. Where do you turn when things get difficult? Many people look for strength outside of themselves, in relationships, in material possessions, in external validation. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that true strength is already within us. It's easy to forget this. When life throws challenges our way, we feel helpless. We think we need something outside of us to save us. But history has proven, time and again, that the most resilient people are those who rely on their inner fortitude. Think of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who endured unimaginable suffering in Nazi concentration camps. Despite losing everything, he found meaning within himself, the strength to endure, the will to keep going, and the mindset to transform his suffering into wisdom. He later wrote Man's Search for Meaning, a book that has helped millions find resilience in their own lives. So when you feel weak, don't look outward. Look inward. Trust that you already have the strength you need. The key is to tap into it, to believe in yourself, and to act from that place of inner power. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. How do you start your mornings? Do you wake up dreading the day ahead, immediately reaching for your phone, scrolling through stress and distractions? Or do you wake up with gratitude, appreciating the simple fact that you're alive? Marcus Aurelius encourages us to shift our mindset first thing in the morning. Instead of complaining, recognize the gift of life. Not everyone gets another day, but you do, and that alone is reason enough to start with gratitude. This is one of the simplest yet most transformative Stoic practices. The moment you open your eyes, remind yourself, today is another opportunity. I have the power to make a difference. I won't waste this gift on negativity or distractions. Try it. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone or dive into routine, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, it's a privilege to be here. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Are you truly living, or are you just existing, going through the motions, waiting for the right time to start chasing your dreams? Marcus Aurelius warns us, don't fear death, fear never actually living. Fear spending your days in procrastination, in hesitation, in waiting for some imaginary moment when everything will be perfect. Because that moment will never come, many people live as if they have forever. They tell themselves, I'll travel when I retire. I'll start that business when I have more money. I'll repair that relationship someday. But someday isn't guaranteed. The Stoics practiced memento mori, remembering that death is inevitable, not to create fear but to inspire action. Knowing that our time is limited should motivate us to live fully. So ask yourself, what have you been postponing? What dreams have you put on hold? What words have you left unsaid? Stop waiting. Start living now. Because the greatest tragedy isn't dying, it's never having truly lived. A rock is thrown in the air, it loses nothing by coming down. Life is full of ups and downs. One moment you're at your peak, the next you're facing setbacks. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, just like a rock thrown into the air, our value doesn't change based on external circumstances. Success and failure are temporary. Your worth isn't determined by them. What truly matters is how you handle both. Think of a great athlete. When they win, they don't let it inflate their ego. When they lose, they don't let it break their spirit. Why? Because they know that neither defines them, their effort and character do. So when life throws you down, don't see it as failure. See it as part of the journey. Keep moving, keep learning, and never let external events dictate your true value. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Imagine facing an obstacle so big that it seems impossible to overcome. Maybe it's a financial struggle, a personal failure, or a difficult life situation. Most people see obstacles as roadblocks, but Marcus Aurelius teaches us that obstacles aren't meant to stop us. In fact, they are the very thing that pushes us forward. This idea became the foundation of The Obstacle is the Way, a modern book by Ryan Holiday, inspired by Stoic philosophy. The concept is simple. Instead of seeing problems as barriers, see them as opportunities. Every challenge you face is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Think of Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Most people would have quit. but he saw each failure as a step toward success. The obstacle, his repeated failures, became the way. How can you apply this? The next time you hit a roadblock, stop and reframe it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I use this?" Because the very thing that seems to be in your way is actually your greatest teacher. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your thoughts don't just exist inside your head. They shape your entire life. The way you think influences your actions, your habits, and even your destiny. If you constantly think negative, bitter, or fearful thoughts, those emotions will seep into your actions. You'll start seeing the world as a hostile place. You'll become reactive, anxious, and stuck. But if you train your mind to focus on gratitude, wisdom, and purpose, you'll become those things. This isn't just philosophy, it's backed by science. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. If you focus on negativity, your brain strengthens those pathways. But if you focus on resilience, gratitude, and wisdom, your brain rewires itself to see life through that lens. So be mindful of what you feed your mind. Choose your thoughts the way you choose your food, because what you consume shapes who you become. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Marcus Aurelius understood something long before modern psychology confirmed it. Your perception creates your reality. If you believe life is unfair, you'll find endless proof that it is. If you believe life is full of opportunities, you'll start seeing them everywhere. This is why two people can experience the same event but react completely differently. One sees failure as the end. The other sees it as a new beginning. One sees hardship as suffering. The other sees it as training. The event is the same, the perspective is different. So how do you take control of your mindset? Catch negative thoughts. Every time you think, "I can't do this," pause and reframe it. "I am learning to do this." Surround yourself with wisdom, read books, study philosophy, and fill your mind with thoughts that elevate you. Practice gratitude. Focus on what's good in your life because what you focus on grows. If you want to change your life, start by changing your thoughts because your life is exactly what your thoughts make it. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Have you ever been absolutely convinced of something, only to later realize you were wrong? Have you ever judged someone based on one side of the story, only to learn the full truth later? Marcus Aurelius warns us, don't be too quick to believe everything you hear. Most of what people say isn't fact. It's their opinion, shaped by their biases and emotions. Even what you see is just your perspective, not the absolute truth. Think about how media, politics, and social media work today. Every platform has an agenda. Every person sees the world through their own lens. That's why two people can witness the same event and come to completely different conclusions. So how do you apply this? Question everything. Don't blindly accept what others say. Analyze it, research it, and think critically. Stay open-minded. Be willing to change your beliefs when presented with new evidence. Detach from your emotions. Your initial reaction isn't always the truth. Take a step back and see the bigger picture. By practicing this, you'll develop clarity, wisdom, and the ability to navigate life with logic rather than impulse. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Imagine this. You wake up ready to take on the day, but suddenly, traffic delays your commute. A rude coworker snaps at you, and your phone dies right when you need it most. Instantly, frustration builds. But ask yourself, did those events really ruin your day, or was it your reaction to them? Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the only thing truly within our control is our mind. Not other people, not external circumstances, just our thoughts and how we respond to situations. Think of a storm. If you're caught in the rain, you have two choices. Complain about getting wet or embrace it, knowing you can't change the weather. The storm will pass either way, but your mindset determines whether you suffer through it or not. This applies to everything in life. You can't control what happens, but you can control your attitude. Instead of focusing on problems, focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on what's unfair, focus on what you can do. That's where true strength lies, not in controlling the outside world, but in mastering yourself. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. How often do we overthink our actions instead of just doing what's right? We read self-help books, listen to motivational speeches, debate what goodness really means. But at the end of the day, the real question is, are you living by those principles? Marcus Aurelius is giving us a call to action. Instead of endlessly debating morality, just embody it. Instead of criticizing others, focus on improving yourself. Because at the end of your life, it won't matter how much you talked about goodness, it will only matter if you lived it. A practical way to apply this is to choose one Stoic virtue, courage, wisdom, justice, or discipline, and make it a daily habit. Ask yourself, am I being honest in my words and actions? Am I practicing patience instead of reacting emotionally? Am I treating others with kindness even when they don't deserve it? By making small, consistent choices to be better instead of just talking about it, you transform yourself and, in turn, the world around you. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Happiness isn't something that happens to you, it's something you create. And it starts in your mind. Have you ever noticed how two people can have completely different reactions to the same situation? One person wakes up to rain and complains about the gloomy weather. Another wakes up, sees the rain, and appreciates the fresh air and the sound of raindrops. The event is the same, but their thoughts change their experience. This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius is teaching. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, self-doubt, envy, fear, you'll live in misery. But if you train yourself to focus on gratitude, strength, and opportunity, your entire life will reflect that. Try this. For one day, monitor your thoughts. Every time you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and reframe it. Instead of, "This day is terrible," say, "This day is challenging, but I can handle it." Instead of "I'm failing," say, "I'm learning." Over time, this shift in thinking will transform your reality. Because in the end, happiness isn't found outside of you. It's shaped by what's inside your own mind. Dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars and see yourself running with them. How often do you stop and appreciate the simple beauty of life? We rush through our days, worrying about the future, stressing over responsibilities, forgetting to look up and see the world around us. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to pause, to look at the sky, the trees, the stars, to realize that we are part of something vast and incredible. There's a scientific reason behind this. Studies show that practicing awe, taking time to appreciate nature, music, or art, reduces stress, increases happiness, and gives us a sense of deep connection. So tonight, step outside, look at the night sky, watch the stars. Realize how small our problems truly are in the grand scheme of things. Because when you take the time to see life's beauty, you stop getting lost in its worries. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Imagine a world where everyone followed this one simple rule. No lies, no deception, no unethical actions, just truth and integrity. Marcus Aurelius believed that a strong character is built on discipline and honesty. It's easy to take shortcuts, tell small lies, or do what's convenient instead of what's right. But every time we compromise on our values, we weaken our own character. A great way to apply this is through the mirror test. Ask yourself, if someone recorded my actions today and played them back to me, would I be proud of what I saw? If the answer is no, it's time to realign with your principles. Because at the end of the day, your reputation isn't built by what you say, it's built by what you do. Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. Someone insults you, someone wrongs you, someone disrespects you. How do you respond? Most people react with anger, resentment, or a desire for revenge. But Marcus Aurelius tells us something radical. If you choose not to be offended, the offense disappears. Think about that. The insult only has power if you give it power. The disrespect only hurts if you let it hurt. But if you decide that someone's words or actions don't define you, then they lose all control over you. This isn't about being passive, it's about being strong. It's about realizing that your peace of mind is worth more than your ego. So the next time someone offends you, try this. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, does this really affect my life? Most of the time it doesn't. And just like that, you've freed yourself from unnecessary suffering. Death smiles at us all, but all a man can do is smile back. This is one of Marcus Aurelius's most famous lines, and it's a direct reminder of memento mori, the Stoic practice of remembering that we will all die. At first, this may sound grim, but it's actually empowering. When you truly accept that life is temporary, you stop wasting time. You stop holding grudges. You stop postponing what truly matters. Think of the things you're putting off, telling someone you love them, pursuing a dream, fixing a broken relationship. What if you didn't have another year, another month? Would you still wait? Death isn't something to fear, it's something to motivate you. Because once you embrace it, you start truly living.